is Gwendolyn from Lifestyle Sew. Today we're going to do the Lutterworth 221 second video on how to sew it up. So we're going to get our backs and we're going to sew it up. First of all, you need to set your sewing machine to a stretch stitch and stretch needle, a jersey stretch needle. Test it that it works perfectly fine on your test that you've cut off, and then we will go forward to our next stage. Right, I know I have loads and loads of this material, but I don't want to waste my material because I can't really stretch it all out on this. There's like 3 yards here, so I only want to fold the section that I'm going to use so I don't waste any material. And this is the main stretch is going across that way. Because this is knit, I don't have to worry about the grain so much because it's knit. Woven, we do have to worry about that. Make sure you haven't got any silly flaws in this material before you start cutting it out. That would be dreadful. Right, so we're going to do the front first. And remember, this is on the fold with the dotted line. So I'm going to put it as close to the edge up there as I possibly can. It's already been so large. These are just coasters, pop coasters. I just always use those, and the table mats that come with them sometimes, just to hold the fabric down. So we've got that nice in there. Make sure it's on the edge like that. Okay. Right, I'm happy with that. It's nice and flat. Another one here. Let's get that over to that corner. Right, that is perfect. Right, I cut out, this is a 60mm rotary cutter. I've used all the rest of the scissors. I've got very expensive scissors, and you have to lift up the fabric. This is far better, the actual best way to gut it. Make sure you always put the safety back on. So all I'm going to do is cut along this. I'm just doing it like that. I'm not doing, there we go. That comes off. Nice and slow. There's no rush here. Test it on your body to see if that's going to fit. See if this pattern is going to fit on your body. Before you start cutting anything out, just get your pattern. Now this is for a top and it's on the fold. I would normally not just leave it on, draw one side of the pattern out. I would draw the whole pattern out. So I would draw it on a fold on this tracing paper. So then you open it out and you have the whole pattern. Because when it's a top and it's all, you don't want this bit down here, really. Make sure you go under your arms, on your shoulder. Looks nice. Is that high enough? Some of these things, that's going to be turned back. That will drop. Then the other one comes in. That looks pretty centre to my, yeah, that looks pretty centre to me. So I'm now putting this back. Now T-tops always come very long for me. Make sure you put seam allowance in for you. You've cut it out like this, but you also need to add the seam allowance. I haven't added my seam allowance on this. You can make this facing a lot bigger if you want to make it 2 inches and then put your seam allowance. Make sure you save some for your sewing machine for testing. We need to make sure we've got enough testing stuff, so instead of having to come back. That's not enough testing for me. Now I've had a chance to put the shoulders together. I can see that the neckline is not right for me. It's right up here. I've only got a little neck, so it's not working well for me. So I will have to adjust that. I will have to cut it, which means I will have to then redo the facings because facings will be a bit small. So I'm going to have to draw out on the material and do another facing, and I'll probably then do an all round facing rather than just, or I may not do a facing at all. I haven't decided yet. But next we're going to put the armholes in. If you're not comfortable with this, you need to pin your armholes in, because they need to be eased in, whether it's woven or stretch material. We don't want to have puckers. We have that little V that says the front. If you just want to clip one of your armholes that's got that little V just in the seam, so you know that that's the front of the armhole, then you can start front, because the neck drops lower at the front. So get your armhole and find your little nick that you put in. It's easy with the pinning because you'll put a pin in this side and then it's fairly straight. So then you put another pin before it starts the armhole cap. And it's the armhole cap that you're actually easing in. It's much easier with knit than it is with woven. Although lots of people who start their sewing career, not career, but you know, sewing hobby off with woven, sometimes find it quite difficult to use knit because woven is so precise. Sorry about all the building work outside. Can't do anything about that. They're doing the whole road up and down, and all you can hear is where they're actually laying stuff. Oh my goodness, they are noisy. Right, okay, so we've come to the stage where we're actually going to start our sewing off. Now I'm on an overlocker. You will be on your sewing machine or an overlocker, depending on what you have. Take the pins out as you go. That's it. So when we turn it over, we actually have a beautiful, I don't know if you can see it actually, beautiful, see it? No puckers at all. I'm going to give it a little iron and that's going to be perfect. Nice little arm, and just check it as an arm. That's great. You haven't over rushed it. So when we come to our next arm, check for our little nick that we've put in, that it's the front. There it is, there's my front. So put them together. Put them together because we need to, you can see there's a difference. There's a huge difference there. Make sure when you're doing your next armhole that you have got the widest part with the little nick in. The widest part here. This one is smaller. The back is smaller. Hi. Now to finish off your garment down the side seam, you're going to sew from the edge of your cuff, whether it's long or short, for the arm, all the way down the side seam. So there's your cuff, the edge of the underarm. This is the edge of your underarm. We're going to sew all the way down the side seam, or overlock all the way down, so it ends up a continuous line. That makes it. Now this is done on purpose to show you. Now this is the pattern as is, going round the dots, cutting out your pattern and sewing it up. For most people, they won't have this problem. I've got this problem because I'm very big chested. So instead of measuring round the top of my chest here, all the way round, I took the measurements from all the way round the full part of my chest. Now, although it fits me actually on the chest and down the sides, it's this. Let's show you without that. You see, that pattern for this size bust is enormous on the top. Now I have really small shoulders anyway. So if I bring it up here and bring that up there, that would be great. That's how it would work. But the neckline doesn't fit me either, because I've got a short neck, and just use this as a muslin because I've got loads of material and I can. It's well advised to actually make a muslin too, and a muslin is just any old fabric that you want to use. With Lutterloh, they say use the pattern to get your pattern shape, but sometimes you can't get a real good feel what it's like round the neck. Sometimes you can't get it quite underneath there, and what's it going to be like? It's much better to still do a muslin first. So I can't alter this now because I need to alter the armhole, and to alter the armhole I need that armhole. I need to take 2.5 inches off the top of this shoulder and I need to then put the 2.5 inches back on here underneath. If you make a mistake or if you do it wrong, you will need a bust adjustment. If you're really big chested, you may need a round shoulder adjustment, a sway back adjustment. They're the main adjustments that you would need if you had those problems. And normally you can find it out on your muslin. This is where you find out where the problem is. All I'm going to do now is transfer that information that I've got here onto my pattern, and I'm going to recut this out and resew it. Fit and the arms fit. The neck band has to go on, or the back neck facing has to go on, depending on which way you want to go that. The shoulders actually fit me now because I've finished. Well, I have to do the hemming on the arms and the bottom here, which is not, it's just straight sewing, so no need to watch that. Just to show you, the neckline does need to be understitched because we've put in a facing as opposed to you know, just a rib neck put on. Shoulders fit perfect now. Look at the side, that looks great. But yeah, very pleased with it. Considering I didn't do a bust adjustment for this. So ordinarily, we wouldn't be doing this like this. I would be taking the upper measurements and then doing a bust adjustment. That's it for today. So if you can subscribe, give me a thumbs up. We have a Facebook page. Happy sewing.